My name is Jill Isaac. I work at the Coady International Institute at the St. Francis Xavier University, and I run a program called Indigenous Women in Community Leadership. I'm a Mi'kmaq woman from Listigouche, Quebec, which is about 6 hours north in Quebec from Antigonish, Nova Scotia.
So I guess we come to Ontario.
Okay.
Oh no, Montreal. Montreal.
Hi everyone, my name is Estelle Pérus. I actually do the fundraising and partnership development for the Fnmi Mobile. I don't know if I should present the organization right away. If for people that couldn't read French, because our description of our project was in French because we didn't have time to translate. Basically what Fnmi Mobile is a traveling film and music training studio for First Nations youth. We mainly work in Quebec, but we have done some work outside of Quebec as well. And our organization was initiated in 2004 by Manon Barbeau, who is also the founder and director of the organization. And actually, she was really sad not to be able to join. Today, she was out on giving a conference on innovation outside of Montreal. So I'm kind of replacing her today and representing the Fnmi Mobile. So that's it. And our organization was also co-founded by the Atikamekw Nation Council and the First Nations Youth Council of Quebec and Labrador. That's it.
Thank you.
Well, welcome. I guess thank you for the invitation for participating here today. My name is Doug Duquesne from Duquesne First Nation here in mid-North Ontario, just on Lake Nipissing. And I've been actually further west for about 20 years, but I just got back about 4 years ago, so I'm really happy to be back working here at Nipissing University as the manager of Aboriginal Services and Community Outreach in the Office of Aboriginal Initiatives. And our entry is one program of a number of different programs we have here at the university, the Aboriginal Student Links program, which I imagine we'll get into more detail later from our area. But we have a long history of working in this area with different community and different organizations and trying to meet community needs and those type of things. So for me, this opportunity has been fantastic. So I thank you, and I look forward to further conversation as we go along here today.
Great. Joy?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. My name is Joy Chalmers. I work at the Pacific Association of First Nations Women in Vancouver. We're an urban Aboriginal nonprofit society, and we have 4 different programs run out of our offices here. We have an Aboriginal health liaison who works out in community, an Aboriginal elder support worker, a homemaker agency, which is an entrepreneurship, which hires Aboriginal women with a contract with the government to do home care work and supervised access for Aboriginal people who have their children in care. And then we also have the Urban Butterflies, which has gone on for 7 years on Saturdays, which has 15 to 20 little girls every Saturday that are taught about their culture, about connecting to the community, and various forms of prevention of self-harm. So I'm really pleased that we were given honorable mention for our Urban Butterflies program. It's really an honor to be attached to change makers. I'm looking forward to our dialogue today.
Again, I guess I just want to say, that Nipissing University, we're really honored to be part of this, and I think, with all of the different programs that we have here, one stands out no more than another. And I think the biggest thing is that with our community outreach and our partnerships with, over the past 25 years has really allowed us to broaden the type of programming that we do. And Aboriginal Student Links being part of, Abidabin Community Service Learning is one of the other initiatives that we have. Ojibwe language is another, and the school of business, where we have very large numbers of educators, that go on into teaching. So that's kind of helped us ground the foundation for the Aboriginal Student Links. And when I look at, all of the other entries, and particularly, the folks that are here today, I see that we're all really working towards trying to create good outcomes for our young people, right, and for our community as a whole. And what I found, over the years is that there are so many incredible, like I look at this, and this urban butterflies that Joy, like seeing young girls, get guidance. I'm not familiar with your program, but get guidance at an early age really contributes, and I believe contributes, and will demonstrate to them that there are healthy lifestyles, and I would like to see the kind of content that is there, because I've worked in justice and I've seen a lot of domestic things that riddles our communities, right? So I think that all of our programming that I've seen across the country really addresses specific issues. The challenge, I guess, that I've seen over, my limited time, I guess, I've been in education for about 20 years now, but I've also been in social work, justice, and education, of course, as well. But what frustrated me, over the years, when I meet folks like yourself, and I run programs, or I'm part of an institution that's running programs, is our biggest challenge has always been that we're only with folks for a very limited time. Mm-hmm. And, from a cultural perspective, we hear all the time about, terminology, like it takes a community to raise a child, and lifelong learning models, and all of these wonderful definitions of what it means to raise children or healthy communities. And hence where Aboriginal Student Links, I guess, comes in, is that in recognition of that from our community partners and the schools that we're working with and the education system as a whole, we've managed to put together all of these pieces, I think, are all these wonderful ideas that come from so many places. And we've managed to put them together and in a continuum, or in a circle of continuous service delivery. So we're with these kids from grade 7 now. We've reached down into the intermediates. In the next 2 years, we'll hopefully be down into the junior levels with our university interns, youth teaching youth all the way down, and creating the opportunity and the potential for us to be with these people, these young people, for potentially 10 to 15 years. And within that, incorporating not just, cultural camps, which are a huge component to it. We do 2 cultural camps. We do work with elders. We do work with the young girls. We do work with specific land-based teaching, academics. We provide tutoring to the program as well at night through our community service learning. So I think, what I can say to everybody, and more specifically with regards to what we're trying to achieve here through the Aboriginal Student Links, is we really are trying to pull together a program that links together all of the components that many of our colleagues around the country, including yourselves, are doing in isolation of each other, or of that next phase, next step of learning. The arts, all of this is incorporated into, the Aboriginal Student Links, and our partners with the Near North District School Board and the Parry Sound Catholic District School Board have worked with us to take our cultural components and align it with existing ministry curriculum, so that we're able to not only create a good environment for the kids to be in, that they want a safe environment that the kids want to be in, which many of your programs do as well, but it also creates an academic outcome that will help them to improve their graduation rates and ultimately, to see greater participation in post-secondary education and at the very least to become better human beings and good, strong human beings. And so it's exciting for us, and it's exciting. It's really exciting for me to sit here with so many people. I don't get to travel as much as I once did to learn new ideas across the country and to bring them home. So I think that this is a great platform to share that, and I'm excited, and I'm honored actually to be amongst you today. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
I just had a question for Doug, just to grasp exactly the Aboriginal Student Links. I guess do you have a core activity, or do you do all these things you were talking about, doing camps, teaching to educators that you're teaching, right? Or are you have educational programs that you build up? What is your main activity?
We have curriculum. So we've developed 32 lesson plans that go in, and the focus is on leadership and career and educational development, right? So we have all these lesson plans, and it's based in activities like the 7 grandfather teachings, right? So we'll have the kids develop those 7 grandfather teachings, display them in their schools up on the walls, and then they'll have to do presentations on it, right? The ones that are doing it for credit. So our core focus is on leadership development. The curriculum and the activities range from organizing a conference. We have a 2-day conference in November. So the grade 11s that are in on the credit end, they'll actually have to organize, put together a plan, and actually facilitate and present at that conference where we bring in 200 kids from the far north. So they're constantly engaging in activities that are developing self-esteem, self-awareness, good lifestyles, as well as leadership capacity. We do training in public speaking. It's quite expansive, the different things that they do. The 2 camps are lined up with the spear fishing, pickerel spawning in the spring, and then moose hunting in the fall, where we bring the elders in and we talk about traditional medicine or traditional use of the land and line it up with current Western day practices and ideas. So it really is all grounded in culture and curriculum. And the activities the kids will tell you are fun.
So I have a quick follow-up as well. Is there a specific age group you're looking at, or is it sort of...
Yeah, we've been rolling it out in different phases. We started out with building our own capacity here at the university and building leadership capacity amongst our own students. That was year 1. Then we went out into high schools, and over the past year we've developed internal capacity within the high schools, grade 9 to 12. This year we just started last month into the intermediate schools. So now we have high school kids that have been in the program for 2.5 years, going into intermediate, grade 6 and 7,
Great.
And delivering the stuff there. And
Excellent.
then next year we'll go into the junior level.
That's great. That's great. So it's almost it seems to be a model that's trickling from the organization to the students, and from the students then to students that are younger and younger. And so as you progress, the age group is going to get younger and younger.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's based on the whole idea of community, right? Siblings learn from each other better than they do from a guy like me, right?
Right.
So we really put a lot of emphasis on training these young people well, and the expectations on them are not overly burdensome, but we certainly train them well enough to be able to communicate and do some of the activities with the kids. And the goal is to put this out throughout the whole port, our whole region, and it's moving quite quickly in that direction.
I liked everything that Doug had to say, and we have a lot in common as to what we do, because our program has a lot to do with leadership. We're focusing on leadership and community development. And we, like you said a while ago, that it takes a community to raise a child, as, you know, like people are thinking that way. And I think the Ashoka kind of is like that for us, because we're able to network this way and send out what's, like, Ashoka's taking on all of the great ideas that are helping Métis, First Nation, and Inuit people. So I think that this is a really good place to showcase our ideas and our programs that we run. So it's kind of like that, you know, Doug, where, you know, it's taken this whole network right now to build our confidence and our self-esteem in each other and in our people, right? I also think that your lesson plans are awesome. We actually do have case studies in our program, and one of them is called the Butterfly Club out of Manitoba. I don't know if you know them, Joy, but we have a case study that we worked on in Manitoba, where they work with young women, and they try to. It's a diverse group. It's not just Aboriginal women. It's all children. I think they're between 7 and 9 or 7 and 12, something like that, in Manitoba. It's run by a lady named Tasha Spillett. So that's one of our case studies that we have right now coming out of our program. And what our program does is it offers women the opportunity to learn about their Aboriginal history from a Métis, Inuit, and First Nation perspective, from all those three women. We also offer leadership, and we teach people how to build a leadership portfolio, which they've been using to get jobs and gain new career, I guess. So we have a few women who have done new things through these leadership portfolios. We also get them to really look at what their community is, whether it's an urban community, northern, isolated, First Nation, Métis settlement, it doesn't matter. We want them to show us what their community is through these community profiles, and we teach them how to do that. We also teach them a little bit about asset-based community development. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but we look at what the assets are in the community rather than what the needs are. So it really gives the women an opportunity to look at their community in a kind of like in a microscope. It makes them look at where the money is coming into their community and where it's leaving. And a lot of times it's called the leaky bucket, because a lot of times the money that comes in is just leaving the community, it's not staying in the community. So these are some of the things we teach them about asset-based community development. And we also teach them how to engage and participate in their community, so that they're not working on their own, and that all the action plan comes from the community itself. At the last week when they're here on campus, we teach them about proposal writing from an Aboriginal perspective, and it's taught by an Aboriginal woman. And conflict resolution, because a lot of times these women, when they go back into their community, they deal with a lot of lateral violence, they deal with a lot of conflict in their community with their leadership or with the people, because people are not used to engaging this way in their community. So it's really new, and we had to teach them how to deal with emotional stress and things like that. So I see a lot of things in common with Doug, because we do, within that ABCD course, we teach them about natural resources and the use of them, and the plants and the medicines and things like that. So it's a good opportunity for women who want to make a difference in their community. And we also were able this past year take 2 women who are breastfeeding, and we were able to take their children on as well. So we're trying to help as many women as we can to be in this program, because it's only 4 months long. It goes from May till the end of August. So they come to class here on campus. We pay for everything. Everything is a full scholarship. So we pay for them to come here for 3 weeks, and we teach them about Aboriginal history and leadership and asset-based community development, proposal writing, conflict resolution, and throughout we teach them about project management, because they go away for 3 months. They work on a project of their choice. It could be on anything, as long as it's a 3-month feasible project. And I help them with that throughout. They also get a mentor, The mentors are all Aboriginal women leaders across Canada, and they go away for 3 months. They work on this project, and they work with the mentors throughout. And then we bring them back in August to do a debrief, and they graduate. So we have like a week and a half when they come back in August, where we can really learn about all the projects that they worked on. So last year we had 5 women work on asset-based community development in their community. So they went back to their community, and they learned how to engage their community and participate on this project. So we had 5 excellent projects come out on ABCD. We also had a lady who worked on an Aboriginal awareness campaign, and that had to do with the Jordan's principle. So she really felt strongly about doing an Aboriginal awareness campaign on that issue. We also had a lady who wrote a paper on leadership in her nation, the Maliseet Nation. So she wrote a paper on that, which we're hoping to maybe possibly publish eventually. We had a Mohawk lady from Ganawage talk about, she wrote about bringing together the traditional Mohawk women, the Haudenosaunee women, to the modern day, and trying to link them together to understand each other's old ways and new ways. So she wrote, that was, I thought, was the bravest project. It was a big project in my opinion. We also had women who wrote case studies. So it could be on anything. They can choose a project on anything. They get paid $800 a week for 3 months. The application deadline this year is January 20th, so that's coming up really quick. We have room for 15 women, so it's a very intensive program, and it's hands-on, and it's opportunity for them to choose anything. Right now I'm talking to some women right now who are interested to learn how to negotiate, because they have issues that are going on in their First Nation. So they want to learn, how do they negotiate and how do they engage their community in this negotiation. So we can do almost every single project that people can come up with. And we also have a leverage fund that helps them after the program if they have economic development coming out of these action plans as well. So anything that deals with economic development, we have money to help them continue on with those projects. So,
what's the average age of the women?
This past year was 33.
Mm-hmm.
So we had some in their 20s and some in their 30s, so and a whole bunch in between, I guess.
Yeah.
So, as someone who has not been directly involved with the competition, it's really interesting for me to hear the work that you're doing, and I just want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly. So I'm curious, the program that you're talking about with regard to the women. Now, it sounds like this is a program that's pretty intense. It brings in these women who are working professionals, and it almost sounds like an immersion program. Is that accurate?
No, it's not. It's open to people who have the qualifications to get into the program. You just have to have a grade 12 or GED. We have one lady who just finished her GED, and it's an opportunity to help them with leadership skills and community development. So these women don't necessarily we don't want the ones who are in director positions. We want the ones who are just starting off, people who want to engage their community, who want to work in their communities, whether it's on reserve, off reserve, in the city, in an isolated northern community, doesn't matter. And we had a lady from Baffin Island in Nunavut, and she did an awesome project on pulling together her women in the community and making it a sewing club. But at the same time, they did mediation because it's such a small community, and they spend so many months of the year in the dark. So they were able to do sewing club, and they were able to get some material like seal skins and stuff like that from natural resources. And they were able to sell all their goods in August when the 2 cruise ships came in. So it was beneficial to the whole community. So like these projects that they worked on, and the projects that are going to be coming up next year this year are going to be all individual interests, really.
So these women are coming in. They're coming in after they are done with their core education, and they're working on specific projects that they're attempting to launch that will impact their communities in a positive manner.
Exactly.
And you all serve sort of as this, almost like an incubator, it sounds like.
Yes, it's unbelievable, really, what happens when all these women come together, because you automatically start seeing your self-esteem building up, because we start to program off with Aboriginal history, and a lot of people don't really understand their Aboriginal history, and to hear it from a Métis, Inuit, and First Nation point of view is so important to them, because it gives them a strong foundation of who they are. So that first week about leadership is basically about who they are, who their community are, where they fit in this world, really. So when they do the program, they learn a lot about their experiences. They bring a wealth of experience to the program. So all these women are friends now, and the main part of the whole program is networking, just like what we're doing here today. You know, you don't have to fly around, Doug. You don't have to, because everything's here at your fingertips and on the computer. And these women are still keeping in touch with each other. And we're hoping at the end we have all these Aboriginal women leader network. So
great.
And so who does that? Who do you hire? I mean, not hire. Who do you have a volunteer mentor group, or is it all mentors that have been through the program before?
Well, that's a good question. When the women mentors show up to the program, they come in the second week of the program during the asset-based community development part, and they receive a certificate for ABCD certificate. That way, they have a good understanding of the program and are able to help out the participants in the IWICO program. And they end up after, since they've been through the course, some of them, and we'll be getting new mentors this year. We can utilize, and what we're actually doing is, I'm not sure if anyone knows who Marie Delorme is, but she's based out of Calgary, and she's one of our mentors who just actually completed writing her PhD thesis, so she'll be arguing it, I guess, or preparing her, finalizing her PhD. So she's going to be providing the Aboriginal history on the Métis. So we're going to be working together, her and I, offering the Métis First Nations. So the mentors can do a couple of things. They can facilitate, they can be a mentor, and they can help out in the leverage fund after as well.
Much a question as a comment, but I did some work too in the women's shelter, and when I was listening to your presentation there, you were talking about the challenges that some of the women face when they go back into the communities, and because you've built them up and you've taught them, that there's other ways of doing things and that they can be successful, and that's always what I've seen too, is that, or the other side of the coin, are the communities are ready for the women to come back, and having done some work in the justice system where with the women's shelter the same thing would happen, that the men in this case would get help and built up, but yet the women, their partners or their relationships wouldn't recognize them when they came home. And so I guess it's more of an observation insofar as the challenge that the women face when they go back into an environment that may not be keeping pace with their learning.
Well,
is there
a ever addressed that or tried to address that?
Oh yes, what we do before they go back into their community, even before they come here in May, is that I negotiate with their bands or their organizations, and I try to get set up, like the Assembly of First Nations, by example, accepted one of our students to work on the Mike Holmes sustainable housing projects, right? It just didn't happen this year, but so she did a lot of policy papers for me, like women in the trades, Aboriginal women in the trades and things like that, but that organization is committed to work with us completely. We even have a resolution that was passed this past summer in Moncton for the First Nation chiefs to accept our women back into the First Nation community. And every First Nation community that I worked with so far and negotiated with were open to this whole idea, because they like the idea that we're paying them, and they like the idea that these women are working on things that are of interest to them that's going to help the community. So it's working out pretty good, but we do all those negotiations before they even show up here.
Great.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
I was wondering, Sheila,
Yes.
who's your biggest funder for your program?
Our only funder for our program is Imperial Oil and ExxonMobil. There are 2 funders.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you come about that?
Well, I work at the Cody International Institute, which is an international organization, and they help working leadership and inspiring leadership and community development. Everything out of Antigonish, where I live right now, is based on this person named Moses Cody, who is all about community development, who is all about inspiring leadership. So we have a lot of donors that pay for different programs, and the one from Imperial Oil wanted to do something for Aboriginal women. So her idea was to help Aboriginal women, and my work was to put this together, this piece.
Wonderful work.
Thank you.
So, Joy, can we then go on to you?
Sure, of course. I'm happy to talk. I love talking. You asked a question at the beginning about what would you like to share with other change makers about your entry. And the first thing that comes to mind is these amazing people involved in this movement to try and improve Aboriginal outcomes of any kind. You know, we're so behind in education, you know, in healthcare, everything across the board for our people. And, you know, the amount of work that so many people are doing by being in a situation like this, you can see as having such great impact in your communities. But we have to still broaden it. We have to still, you know, keep trying to build capacity. I think that each one of us, in whatever program we're doing, are improving the outcomes for learning opportunities for children, adults, women, men. I mean, that's our goal, right? To improve the lifestyle and the long-term health of Aboriginal, Métis and Inuit people. So it doesn't matter what age group you start at. You have to start somewhere. And, you know, with our program specifically with little girls, our program is based in prevention of pregnancy, prevention of self-harm, prevention of obesity. You know, we're trying to develop healthy skills of relationship building so the girls know who to go to, so they know by examples of the leaders and the elders that are around them, they know there's another way to choose. Children in foster care are, you know, much more disadvantaged than the regular child in mainstream Canadian society, especially if they're impaired with learning disabilities like alcohol or ADHD, which are the 2 main ones that we see with our little girls. I'm really interested in raising the level of curriculum in schools so that mainstream young Canadians can appreciate Aboriginal natural history. You know, there isn't enough positivity in our curriculums, I don't know, across Canada that speaks to the different amazing histories of all the different tribes across Canada. So the longer I think we stay in the dark about teaching kids at an early age, the greater chance of us getting people to understand the richness of the cultures. So that's really important to me, and I noticed that same thread through each of your discussions is that the longer people stay away from their cultures and the less they really understand it, the less chance they have of building their lives from a positive point of view in a positive way. And so I really think that the positive effects of being entered into something like this is just building capacity for all of us. How you fund, how you develop capacity, how you network, all those things are skills like Sheila's trying to teach her people, her women, that you can teach to young children at the same way, right? Mm-hmm. Only a different level, but certainly there's so much to learn from each other, just from talking to you guys this way. It's just amazing. There's a great sense of pride I have in belonging to the Aboriginal community in Vancouver, and I know that you feel the same way because of the level of work you're doing too. And I think this kind of platform sends that out to the communities too, that there's lots of work being done across Canada, and we just have to fuse it together somehow so that we can all be working towards the same goals and better education of children, better curriculums, better evaluations of children so they come into the educational system with more tools and better outcomes. I'd like to see grade school evaluations given to kids in grade 10 so they don't wait to fail in grade 11 and 12 in regular curriculum, because that's what we see a lot happening, where the girls kind of lose courage in the regular school system, where they might not have been diagnosed properly early enough with their disabilities, and they're failing in school, so they can't move on to grade 11 or 12 to higher education. And, trade schools are a wonderful opportunity to give people a good lifestyle and a good income. But we don't really see those opportunities given to girls or boys between the ages of 16 and 18. So then, they don't have much hope of choosing the better path, which, we would want for our Aboriginal, Métis and Inuit children.
It sounds like...
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think you guys are all wonderful models of things we should all be. Like, if each of us could take one thing from the other and put it to work in our own, whatever situation we're in, we're going to certainly broaden our scope, broaden our funding resources, proposal writing skills, all those things that are so defined and difficult to find people who know how to do them. So this is a wonderful platform for that. Excellent exposure.
It's so interesting to hear about these brilliant programs that I've been reading about, and to hear about them directly from you all, because what's jumping out at me just from listening in on this conversation is that there seems to be a unifying thread, in the form of a need, actually, to not only educate the young people or the women, but also to engage the entire community. And because it doesn't matter really how much you train a young person or how empowered a woman is if she goes home and is immediately disempowered. So there seems to be a need to really, for all the different programs that you all are working on, to work as complementary programs, and to really boost these different sectors of the community in order to ensure that the training that you are doing sticks and actually grows roots into wherever these women go back to, or wherever these young people go back to.
Well, that brings us to the most important part, which is sustainability. And that's always been the critical case for small societies like ours, especially, to keep programs going. Because our funders are one for 1 year or 2 years, and it's hard to maintain a cash flow to sustain the programs. And so, like, I'm fortunate in that I've had my little girls program for 6 or 7 years, but that's been because of the continuous proposal writing.
Right.
And you have to be diligent and always aware that your funding is going to run out, so you have to keep going.
Yeah.
The fact that Sheila has Imperial Oil, to me, is just some like that would be like God's gift. You know, it's major corporations. This is a lifelong thing we're doing with children, right? We're trying to change early pregnancy. We're trying to change the face of children in care in British Columbia being over 75%.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody has to stop the cycle somewhere.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a big job for everybody. But I appreciate that. What you're saying is that the common thread is there.
Yeah, it's hopefully the kind of work that we're really trying to encourage here at Ashoka as well. Will really start to resonate with the private sector more and more, and I think we're seeing that. We're seeing traction from the private sector, from the corporate world, on engaging and really realizing that they can provide an incredibly valuable service to organizations such as yourselves in the form of funding and of critical support and human capital, and the list goes on and on. So hopefully we'll see more and more of that. But with that, I wanted to turn our attention to, is it Cassandra?
Yeah, that's me.
Cassandra. We're talking about youth and, you know, the quote-unquote stickiness of these ideas and of the training that you all are doing. So I'm really eager to hear about how you all are engaging with the young people.
I'd like to give you a better image of what we're doing with First Nation youth here in Quebec. We're actually a traveling film and music studio. So it's we use filmmaking and music as an intervention and learning tool for Aboriginal youth. And our main goal is really to give them the opportunity to express themselves through this art and break their isolation, connect between each other, because the youth between communities and nations don't necessarily talk to each other. So it also allows them to do that, and also to shine in their own communities through their work, because we present their work at community screening at the end of the workshop, and also we also submit their work and throughout festivals in the world and in Canada and Quebec. So that's great, and I think our goal is really to help them acquire social, artistic, professional skills during our workshops, but skills that are going to be useful for them throughout their lives. I mean, it's also about reinforcing the stuff that you guys were saying, reinforcing and being part of their identity. Many of them have gone back to school, whether it's in cinema or other fields. So that's really interesting. And I think one of the main reasons why our project has worked very well here in Quebec, we've been in 19 communities, and we visited 7 nations that, out of the 11 nations. And keep in mind that it's our trailer, so we're limited by the roads. But then again, that's another story. And so I think what's really successful is that video and music are a very popular medium for the youth, and it's a flexible medium, and so they can learn, while it's cool. So I think this is really important, because if you don't have their interest, they're not going to learn anything. It's really important to adapt to what interests them, and then you can start a learning process. But so that's it. So although we work outside of the traditional school system, we really focus on hands-on learning, and I think it's proven itself. And I don't know if maybe I can give you a bit of an example of how we work. We have 2 mobile studios, so 2 caravans, or I don't know how you call them. Sorry, my which are fully equipped with state-of-the-art like editing programs and cameras. And each of our studios go and stay 5 weeks in a community. And during that month, our team, they recruit the participants. Then the participants have to choose a project. Their approach, write their scenario if it's a film they're doing, shoot their own movie, go find other people to work with them.
Yeah.
So it's also about teamwork, and then they do the sound recording and the editing. So, and often they can do a fictional movie or a project, but often it's also documentary, and it's about themes that are important to them. A lot of our movies are used, therefore, afterwards in prevention, in suicide prevention, in violence against women. We use them. The films are tools in itself as well. So it's very interesting. And so and another message maybe I'd like to share is that we're really eager and to work with other First Nation communities or organizations in Canada, because for now we're mostly active in Quebec, but we're even active in Latin America and internationally. We are doing these workshops in Aboriginal communities in Peru, in Chile, and in Bolivia, and but we have still very few contacts, and this is also a language problem, and networks with other Aboriginal communities and organizations in Canada. And we really want to break through, and this is kind of our goal this year to make new partnerships and to meet people and to share our experiences and methodology. And we would like to do maybe to reunite some artists from here, filmmakers or musicians from here, and visit other communities or cities where there can be an exchange between these artists and maybe, I don't know, doing a common project together. So these are the things we kind of do, and this is how we encourage learning, and that's about it. So
one of the things I'm really appreciating, and really this Google meeting has allowed us to see, is the excitement and the passion in each of your faces as you speak. I just think it's really interesting to really see that, because it's this allows. I would say our culture is an oral culture, and while it's an oral culture, I think it also is your message is embodied in your whole being, which I think is quite fascinating. So, any questions for Cassandra?
I have a quick question. Cassandra, when you said you're interested in going into other communities, I did hear you say at the end there that cities or anything. So how does that work within your funding and that type of thing? Because I'm always thinking about opportunities, and I'm looking at, a big part of what we're doing is we want to be with and look at these kids progress over 5 to 10 years, and they got lots of stories to tell. And so, they're organizing they organized their own Christmas dance this year. We had nothing to do with it. I didn't even see what happened, but they made money and donated it to a girl with cancer. I mean, they have stories, and art and the media is they have a very big interest in that. And so I'm looking for ways to integrate that into our program. Can you give me some suggestions or availability, or how do you manage to get around?
Yeah, well, we'd love to come and help you. Of course, it's regarding the funding we're talking about. We have a lot of different type of funding. We have some a lot of governmental support. Actually, our main partner is Health Canada, because we do a lot of suicide prevention with our work, and got a lot of other partners, Status of Women. We have a bunch of as well as federal and provincial help, but we also some of the band councils also. For example, we just came back from Shisasibi, Cree Nation, and they funded our trauma over there, so that was great. We also have a couple of in the private sector, like we have Bombardier, TELUS, but it is difficult. It's difficult, and a couple of others. But what's interesting is that, we were talking about one of our dream project this year is to do exactly like a tour in we don't know yet if it's going to be in different cities, for example, Ottawa, Winnipeg, Vancouver, or if we're going to go maybe more in communities. We don't know yet. And we're going to develop this with the National Association of Friendship Centers. And so we've submitted the project at Heritage Canada. And so we're really hoping they're going to give us the funds to be able to send by plane, some filmmakers from here to try to go and work with projects in other places. But because the thing is that traditionally we really work around the caravan is the main event. What enables us to go towards each community and to see the youth where they are. But now, we're expanding and we're thinking of other ways, to try to reach other people. So we can offer, services if you guys want to do a workshop or on films, because it's not the production that's important. It's it's the process and what comes out of it. And so we'd love to work with you guys if you guys are.
Where's your home? Where are you?
Where am
Montreal.
Montreal. So you're not far from us.
Where are you?
North Bay. We're 4 hours from Ottawa, right?
Oh.
Like right across the line.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, we're 4 hours. But I mean, I have a number of stuff, and I don't want to eat up a whole lot of time here. But I'll probably call you.
All right.
That's
I was listening to Joy talk a while ago, and then another common thread I believe is that the only way we're going to make a big difference and make changes in this country, and especially in this country, is if we change the curriculum. I recently got a call from someone who wanted to put money towards my project, and I told them, I said, if you really want to have Aboriginal people, why don't you focus on working on ways to change the curriculum across the country, because we have education that is provincially run instead of federally run. We don't have an umbrella of a federal body. So, they wanted to put money towards poverty and towards, making things better for Canadians, and, they have a small pocket of money, and it just kind of made me feel like the only way we're going to see changes, and the only way we're going to see, you're not going to see ignorance be erased, or discrimination or racism, but you'll see it lessened, and the whole idea of the Change Maker Initiative gives us an opportunity to tell you what we're doing for First Nation, Métis and Inuit people. But the underlining effect, I believe, is to really, maybe teach Canadians what the true history is. I find that my program really makes a big difference when they learn about their own histories, when they learn about who they are, and because a lot of First Nation people and Métis and Inuit people don't even know what their history is. So if somehow, Joy was talking about that changing the curriculum and changing the way the general public view us, because the general public only see what they see on TV or read what they read in the newspaper, and they're not focusing on what our real issues are, and that's that we're a neighbor in this community we're shunned. Nobody gives a crap about who we are. Working here at the Cody International Institute, we have people from around the world that take courses over here, and what's really interesting is they ask questions that you never even faced before. Like, I remember we were talking about Oka. I helped out in a class where they're going over the 207 years of resistance, and they asked me, well, what did civil society do? What did civil society do for you when that was going on? And no one ever asked me that question before, and I thought, oh my God, civil society here in Canada didn't do anything, really, if you think about it. I don't know where that music came from.
I don't either.
But I think that if the Change Maker Initiative can talk about what kind of programs we have right now and focus on on making changes for us as Aboriginal people is that the non-Aboriginal people, the general public, are the ones that have to make the difference by asking who we are and why we have these kind of issues. So that's always kind of been how I feel about that. So that's my 2 cents on that.
So who would like to go next?
I'll go, I guess. I think, as far as the Aboriginal student links changing learning for First Nations, Inuit, and Métis learners, the most exciting piece for me is, Christmas. Like I said, the students, because they're all linked now from the 6 high schools, they're using technology. Getting back to what Cassandra was saying, they're using technology as their medium to communicate with each other outside of the direction and oversight that we provide to them. They've now started to use that medium to organize themselves and to organize things that they want to do. And using the leadership skills and using the things that they've learned, they created their own Christmas formal. And I was quite surprised to see that they were all dressed up in their best suits, their best dresses, and the pride and the self-esteem and that they demonstrated by that is, to me, the greatest outcome that we could achieve at any level, working with any group of people in any way. When a human being starts to recognize that they have value and they have place and they can achieve things on their own, you couldn't ask for a better outcome. And I think that all of our programming, that each and every one of you here has talked about, at some point in time you see that with the people that you're working with. And so for us, we see greater pride in our students here at the university. In the beginning I had one student and I was having to chase them down in the hall to be part of this. Now I have to select from 40 and 50 that they want to come and apply for it. So we have an application process, a training process at almost every level. And I think that when we create capacity, we have to do that in such a way that we don't have a dependency on funding, which is critically important. But if we create environments that create self-awareness, self-esteem, and people want to be part of it, to give back what they have, then it will grow and it will create its own and become its own entity. And I think that that's what's happened with the Aboriginal Student Links. Is it's no longer about me, bringing an idea to the table and trying to put the pieces together. ASL is now an entity. It's not one person. It's not one funder. Nobody knows where the money comes from except me and my bosses, that work behind the scenes to bring those dollars in. But these kids now have created capacity, right? They've created their own capacity to carry this on and take it out into their own community. So I think, as we try and look at, how do we network and how do we string all of these wonderful ideas together nationwide, continentally, I think that, the more that we create these environments and that we create opportunity within those environments for young people and people of all ages that require certain things, the more likely it's going to spread. And across cultures, this morning I did a lecture, a guest lecture in a nursing course, first year nursing students, and there was 90 students in there. And the enthusiasm to know, and the first question I said to them, or statement I made to them, was, you need to ask the question of how it is that you know what you know. And then start leading them into some cultural things, but not with the intent or the idea that we're involved in a us and them kind of situation, but more that we're involved in an environment and in a country now, in a world now, that everything that I do affects you too. And we're in this together. And I'm finding that young people in Canada, in the education system anyway, are shocked and want to know more about First Nations culture. So I think, getting to what Sheila was saying there a little bit, I think we've come a long way. We've got a long took 500 years to get here, but I think with all of the people that are at this forum and the hundreds and thousands of others that are out there, hopefully doing the same work that we are, that we're going to see change. And I think the opportunities are here now, and I think the Changemaker is one of those platforms that's going to help us.
You know, that's the big picture of the way the world is now. You know, we can talk to each other across Canada, but we can have such profound impact on healing our community in this little way that we're all doing our little jobs in our little communities, because everything can be replicated. You know, it's not beyond the scope that you can't start your program in every other university across Canada. You can model it. You can write the book and then go present that to the deans at the different universities via Google Hangout. You know, there's so many ways to promote what's going on good here that, you know, that's the big picture here, right? That we, you know, whatever we're doing, we're going to spread the word about the positivity in our communities, whatever we're doing, and we can replicate that anywhere in Canada. And so that's my hope and dream, and I'm sure the same for my Women's Society that I work for, that, you know, Changemakers will have that impact to help us promote what we're doing in the best way we can, right? So that other communities will derive all the learning and all the years you've put into your job, Doug. I mean, I'm pretty young to this. I've only been 7 years with the Aboriginal community, but, you know, many of my peers have gotten sick and died of diabetes and not being able to go on, right? So, you know, the thing is that, you know, this is just a brilliant opportunity for us to all spread the word and stay in touch and work each other to funding opportunities or just success stories that can help all of us in all our communities. And so I really thank you for this opportunity. It's been just a wonderful chance for us to put our little program, Urban Butterflies, on the map. And hopefully maybe somebody will get inspired and maybe want to do it in Nova Scotia or Manitoba and impact some little girls' lives that'll make their futures much better.
I totally agree also with what Sheila was saying about educating the general public about the history, the culture, just creating a dialogue between First Nation and you know, non-Aboriginals. And I think this Changemakers initiative will, I hope there are some non-Aboriginal that will, you know about all these great initiatives that are posted on the websites. And that's what's also great about, as for our organization, just wanted to say as well that not only, you know, a big part of our job is doing the workshops and working with the Aboriginal youth and on videos and on music, but it's when we do organize screenings in festivals in Canada and outside of Canada, and that people learn about their interests, their realities. Often they do, stories about, more historical point of view, and it's just, it helps them like understand and creating a dialogue, because a lot of, for example, Quebecois have never met, for an Aboriginal before, and they see what they see on the media, and it's not always great. So that and another thing I think I'm very grateful for Ashoka and Changemakers is the networking. Of course, I mean, I want every one of your numbers and email address after this, because I think there's a lot of things we can do together, and maybe not now, but maybe in the future. It's always good. And also, it was a challenge for us too, because First Nation, Aboriginal in Quebec, sometimes not all, but the French-speaking communities live kind of a double isolation problem, because they're Aboriginal, but second because they speak their own language, the traditional language, but French, and so it's hard sometimes to communicate with the rest of Canada. And so we're hoping to, as I was saying before, to try to connect more with other communities across Canada. So we're hoping for that. And maybe if I could just finish off just by saying maybe a suggestion for this initiative. Maybe what would be nice is, you know, in the entry form, maybe to have a question about our specific needs as a project or as an organization. That way, you know, if other people can help, you know, whether it's the people from Ashoka, the partners, or other teams, you read about other projects, then you can try to help solve certain issues together, you know, through networking. It's taking networking at another level, because if there's a network but no one's communicating, it doesn't really work. So, yeah.
Cassandra, I'm so happy that you brought that up. We are it's actually really great timing, because one of our new initiatives here at Changemakers is we're launching a new platform called Change Shop. And what we aim to do with that is actually fill this gap that you're talking about and give our community an ability to go beyond simply submitting an application and submitting their innovation, but to really connect with other innovators and to articulate to the rest of the community what their needs are and what kinds of offers they can add to other parts of the community. So you can really look at both sides of the coin there and really be able to create a complete picture of growth and community building and innovation. So I will encourage Carolyn to send along some information to you all as the competition progresses. And hopefully you all can join that community as it launches and be able to actually do just what Cassandra was saying, and articulate what you need and find other people who can fill those gaps and work together to promote each other. Thank you all so much for taking the time to speak with us and for your patience with all the technical glitches in the beginning. There's always a little bit of learning to be done when we're experimenting with new platforms. So I'm really glad to see that there's so much energy and potential for collaboration even between simply the four of you. Hopefully this is a starting point to something much larger and more exciting that can bring innovators like yourselves across Canada together.